Hello, friends. Thanks for joining us on a Monday. Continue to try to make you feel better. Get off that perch. 49ers lose 27-24 at a 14-0 lead at the end of the first, at a 10-point lead in the fourth quarter with special teams, defensive breakdowns, some issues with Ronnie Bell dropping the ball. All those things contribute, and the 49ers are now 1-2. Let's talk to our good friend Larry Krueger about it. Make sure you're watching The Krug Show, following him at Sports Larry K, and, of course, listening to 49ers Nightly. Krug joins us courtesy of the Uma Guest Line, and if you're lucky enough to be on YouTube or Twitch, you can see his bright, smiling face right now. Hi, Krug.
Good morning, guys. I like how you guys are coordinating your SF hats.
You like that?
Greg's got the...
got to get you one of these.
Yeah, that's a nice-looking hat. Johnny's going black hat with the white
I'm the black hat.
writing. Greg's got the perfect... He's got the... That looks like the one that in Trent Williams' locker.
Yeah.
He's got Trent Williams' hat right.
Well, this is a Residency 3 company, and Trent owns part of the company. So he's got the hats there. So we could go any way of a dozen different directions, but just since you watch it so closely, what happened yesterday? How'd they lose that game?
Well, very disappointing. I mean, this was one they had to have, and it's, as you guys know, it's never one thing. It's a lot of things. I mean, the special teams, I don't know, we could start there. I mean, I don't think that's the number one reason, but you miss a field goal. Malik Mustafa missed the tackle on Xavier Smith, which led to a very poor timed long punt return. And then the fake punt that Shanahan claims they were ready for, but decided to go with his special teams and not his defense to defend it, and it didn't work. So special teams was one. The defense allowed scoring drives on LA's last 4 possessions. I agree with Dante Whitner. Nick Sorensen's defense has been a colossal failure to this point. Leonard Floyd was huge against the Jets. In the last 2 weeks, he's done nothing. The Niners had 7 penalties for 111 yards. I think the most costly probably was the Juszczyk hold on the Guerrero 5-yard run with 4 minutes left in the fourth. If he hadn't had that penalty, it was 2nd and 5 at the 37-yard line of the Rams. Instead, it was 1st and 20 at the Niners 48. So that was a huge penalty. Devondre Campbell can't cover. He allowed a perfect passer rating. When he was targeted, they targeted him 3 times. They completed 3 passes. I told John and Adam in the morning on the pregame that I was terrified of the Rams because I could see they were going to go up top. And sure enough, the Niners can't defend verticals. The PI in the first half on Yadam, he just wrapped up the receiver because he couldn't run with him. Atwell blew right on by Ward. Ward got blown by in the first half on a play where Stafford overthrew Whittington. The Niners couldn't cover the verticals. The Niners don't get separation receiver-wise. They were the Yak Monsters. They're not the Yak Monsters. And the Niner D-line got 5 hits on Stafford. Detroit and Arizona in the 2 previous weeks got 21 hits on Stafford. And then the 49er offensive line gave up 16 pressures, 5 from McKivitz, 3 from Trent. The Rams offensive line, which was totally depleted, guys playing that never played before, going up against this vaunted Niner D-line, they allowed 12 pressures, so even less than the Niners allowed to the Rams. So, O-line, D-line, not enough speed on the perimeter, and then I think I don't want to get into Lynch, but I think they've made some personnel decisions that have been mistakes. Keeping Ronnie Bell over Terrace Marshall. Terrace Marshall's bigger, stronger, faster, tougher, and he's on your practice squad and he's healthy. And you opted for Ronnie Bell. That's inexplainable. Deshaun Jameson, last year cutting him, going with Isaiah Oliver. Why? Because you signed Oliver and you were, that was clearly a mistake. Cutting Jalen Graham and keeping Devondre Campbell, despite the fact that Graham looked good in the preseason and Campbell did not. That was a mistake, I think. Keeping Chase Lucas and Isaac Yiadom, who, free agents that you signed over Sam Womack, who's smaller but much faster, much more athletic, can mirror receivers better. That's a mistake. I'm not even sure that keeping Patrick Taylor over Cody Schrader wasn't a mistake. So I think they've made some mistakes personnel-wise for whatever reason, but, that's – and then they didn't target Tre'Davious White nearly enough. He's old, he's slow, he's beat up at this point. They targeted him 5 times yesterday. He gave up 3 catches on the 5 targets and a touchdown. He should have been targeted 8, 9, 10 times yesterday. So it was just not a very good plan all the way through.
Larry Krueger is joining us. Pop and Lund, the 49ers fall to 1-2 with a loss at LA yesterday. So let me ask you this, pretty broad, but go wherever you want with it.
Yeah.
Because at this point, there's things that are fixable and not. We know that the 49ers, throughout Kyle's tenure, when they've had good teams, they'll have some issues like this. They lose 3 in a row last year and all these different things. And at the end of the year, all of a sudden it's like, wow, the 49ers are where we thought they would be. So what things are long-term concerns that you have things you just mentioned, and what things are like, they'll get healthy, they'll get this together? What are things that are concerning you regardless of the personnel?
The lack of speed on the perimeter. They don't have anybody. I mean, I'm just looking at their, the 40 times of their DBs. Hafanga's a 4.6, 4.7 guy. Same with Jair. And Yadam's not a whole lot faster. Renardo Green is a little faster, but they lack speed on the perimeter on the defensive side. So they're susceptible to verticals. And you saw it against Jefferson, and then you saw it again. And you're going to keep seeing it every single week because everybody loves verticals. And they're so rarely open in the NFL. So if you're a team that gives up verticals, you're going to get a lot of it. And then I think offensively, where's Jacob Cowing? 4.3 speed. Why is he not out there? Why is Ronnie Bell out there? Ronnie Bell had 2 drops that were key, but he also had another drop on a play where there was a penalty that it was called back. So we really had 3 drops and 1 catch. So there's not enough speed on the perimeter. I don't know that anything that they're going to do is going to change that.
Yeah, he had a drop, and Trent Williams was called for a hold, so it was nullified. The one he caught was the very last play of the game where it turned into Stanford Kale play. So he had a hard time. And the one that he dropped, he didn't just drop it. He batted it down. He's clearly fighting it. So, but I do want to ask you about Devondre Campbell, because the Niners did, and I think the Rams purposely, they played more 12 personnel. They're strictly 11, where they have 3 wide receivers on the field. Every single snap the first 2 weeks of the year, they had 11 personnel on the field. Now, they don't have Puka and they don't have Cooper Kupp, so I understand that, and those guys block like tight ends. But I also think part of why they wanted to go to double tights was to force the Niners to play in their base defense to specifically target Devondre and Demetrius Flanagan fouls. The Niners had a plan, though, and they changed up. When they went nickel, they took both of those veteran linebackers off the field. They brought in D. Winters, except D, I think he re-aggravated that ankle injury, the high ankle from training camp, Larry, because he got kicked by Beal on the fake punt. So they got away from that. So if you want to change your nickel defense, and do you want to get Campbell off the field, so when you're in that 4-2-5, Fred is joined by another linebacker. I know Tim Ryan has been advocating this, and I wholeheartedly agree. Curtis Robinson, who looked so good in August football, playing the Mike linebacker. He can play Sam, Will. He can play Mike. He's a smart guy from Stanford. He contributes on special teams. If the D. Winters injury lingers, do you think they make the change they started to make yesterday when they go nickel, and that is get Devondre Campbell off the field and bring in a linebacker? Now this would be Curtis Robinson, Larry.
Yeah, you totally pegged it. I think that it was twofold. I think the Rams went to 12 over 11 personnel because of their own injury situation, partly. They were healthier at tight end, I guess a little bit more than they were at receiver. But I think you're spot on. I think they was absolutely, let's get the 49ers to play their base defense. Let's get Devondre Campbell isolated in space on an athletic guy, and let's torch him. And 158.3 passer rating. He gave up 3 receptions for 53 yards on 3 targets.
Plus a penalty when he grabbed the tight end.
That's right. He wrapped up the tight end. So Campbell sent the message when he left Green Bay that, hey, he wanted out. It wasn't a good fit schematically. This is a much better fit. But he's being asked to step into the shoes of one of the greatest players in the league, and Dre Greenlaw, who does a ton on this defense. And that's just a tall ask. And they had some young linebackers in camp, and I think you hit on it. I think Robinson's probably the most athletic linebacker left, and if you can get him on the field and Campbell off the field, you're probably going to be better for it. That's one adjustment.
Larry, from a positive sense, Jauan Jennings was absolutely great. 11 for 175, the 3 touchdowns, the catch over Lake in the middle of the field. I know the 49ers are not going to all of a sudden say, hey, we're a 3 wide receiver team and take Juice off the field, or, Debo, he's not going to jump ahead of Debo or any of these kind of things. But he did prove, I think, something yesterday. Is there anything they can do to get him on the field a little bit more, or do you think they're just going to keep things the way that they are? He had a breakout game, but you are who you are. What do you think happens there?
Yeah, I mean, he's a very special person. It's all about who he is as a person. I mean, this guy is just, he acts like every ball in the air is made for him. But yeah, are you going to sit down Aiyuk? Are you suddenly going to go to a 1-back and go with 3 wides all the time and 11 personnel yourself? I don't see it. I just think JJ is gonna fit in. He's gonna fit in where he fits in. I mean, they're gonna use him more in the red zone. They're gonna use him in certain situations. I mean, he's a trusted agent at this point. I'll say it right now. I think he's their best wide receiver. I think he proved it in the Super Bowl. He continues to prove it. He proved it this summer. He's all ball all the time. He's not a diva. He's not a me guy. He's just a really underrated receiver. Just doesn't run that fast. But I don't know what the answer is, John, because you're not going to sit Debo and you're not going to sit Aiyuk. But JJ is. I mean, if the Niners had the biggest play of their season and they went to JJ with a full complement of weapons, none of us would question it. That's how that's the kind of status he has with Niner fans.
Yeah, he was on his way to being the MVP of the Super Bowl last year. And going back to the Jan 9th game when they had to win, Jauan Jennings had 2 touchdown receptions in that game, one from Debo and one from Jimmy Garoppolo to tie the game. I was surprised yesterday with Ronnie Bell that Ronnie was on the field for 30 snaps and Chris Conley just 20. You're around there. You see Ricky Pearsall. He's starting to work out. He's starting to run. He's inside the weight room with the performance staff. It may be, when the first 4 he misses, he comes back and plays week 5 so they can make a move with Ronnie Bell there. We'll have to see about Debo's availability for this game. But they don't overreact. It's not, Parcells would cut Ronnie Bell off the team to make a statement. What do you think they do with Ronnie? It's hard to play him right now, Larry, if he has no confidence in catching the ball. And right now he has the yips.
Yeah. I mean, Greg, we all, the 3 of us, have watched this very closely since Ronnie got on the team a year ago. He has regressed. He's not catching the ball this summer the way he caught the ball last summer. And he's only here because of those ball skills. So, if you have no other, I mean, it's pro sports. So it's like if it was college sports or high school sports or youth sports, it'd be like, give Ronnie another shot. But he's here because he's got great hands, great ball skills, and he catches everything. And as soon as that is no longer the case, then it's like, well, you know what? If I'm gonna have guys dropping the ball, I'd rather have a guy who runs 4.2. There's guys on the street right now who run 4.3 I can get to who will drop the ball. So I think it's Terrace Marshall time. I really do. I'm at all these practices. Terrace Marshall is big. He's a I don't know if I believe that he plays to the 4.37 that he was timed coming out of LSU, but he's big. He runs routes. He plucks with his hands. He's very strong. He's in shape. He works out hard. He's ready to roll. I would go to him right away.
Krug, great stuff, man. Appreciate the insight. Tonight, what do you got going on?
We're on YouTube tonight. In fact, we're on YouTube, I think, almost all week except for Thursday because of the Giants. So, we'll go autopsy tonight on, I've been spending the morning looking at the all 22. I watched the condensed 3 or 4 times. I've got a whole list of things that I think they ought to do. And so we'll just go into the autopsy tonight. Tonight we'll look back, and the rest of the week we'll look ahead to next week. And next week's a must win.
Absolutely.
Gotta have it.
All right, man. We'll get you. We'll check you out on YouTube, and then the Giants season ends, and then we'll get you every night right here on the Blowtorch, man. Appreciate it.
Love you guys. Have a great one.
You too, man.
Thank you, Krugs.
That is Larry Kruger. Make sure you're checking him out on YouTube on the Krug Show. Make sure you're following him as well. And again, Niners Nightly for Krug. So make sure you check it all out.